There he is, the cartoon Xavier Legette there at that point from South Carolina. Which, listen, if you had told me at the beginning of this year that
Xavier?
Xavier Legette would be in the top 10 of wide receivers in this draft, I would have laughed in your face. This guy spent 4 years doing absolutely nothing at South Carolina. And then let me be very clear in how I word this. They schemed him into fruition this year. And they realized how to use him correctly and make him good. So this is why even though he had a great year at South Carolina, why he's number 6 and not in that top tier at that point there. 6'1", 221 pounds, 23 years old. This year, 12 games, 71 receptions, 1,255 yards. That's pretty damn impressive. 7 touchdowns. What's not impressing is his rushing, though. 9 rushes for -9 yards. That's not a very good total there. Luckily, he's not a running back. The previous year, 22, he did 13 games, 18 receptions, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 rushes, 21 yards.
Jeez.
Yeah, guys, you heard that correctly. Less than 200 yards the year before total. This was his 5th year. He finally got things rolling. And again, South Carolina schemed him into fruition. They realized what he could do well and what he couldn't do well, and they utilized what he could do well. He's got good size. He's athletic. He's great at contested catches. He's also a good punt and kickoff returner. So another thing that we talked about with that kind of, need there potentially for some teams there. But the cons, again, didn't accelerate until the 5th year. Very, very raw route runner. And here's where the scheming part is. He is horrendous against press coverage, guys. And they moved him around the field left and right to avoid press coverage as best they could. And that's part of why he did so well. Because if you put him on the corners that didn't press as well, or if you moved him around at that point to try to get him off corners entirely, he's going to do very well. That's not going to work in the NFL. Now, the question is, can you teach him to deal with press coverage better? He's got the size. So, to me, this is that 50-50 shot of, is he coachable or does he just suck at it? And again, if he was coachable and I thought I'm seeing improvement towards the year, to be honest, he'd be much higher up because I really like his tape. I really like what he can do. But I can't ignore the fact that he is horrible against press coverage. And if you can't do press coverage in the NFL, you're going to be in some trouble there. So I think he might be a good third receiver at that point there as the worst case scenario, because then you hope you can pop him in the slot, maybe put him on some little guy that won't, you can't press him. You know what I mean? You put him on a little corner like that, 6 foot and 180 pounds. Good luck pressing a guy who's 6'1", 221 pounds.
Oh, you poor nickel corners.
Yeah, that's where you're at. But if you could
40
teach this
pounds.
guy,
Yep.
But if you can teach around the press issue, he's got a potential to be a really good receiver in this league. It's all a matter of how bad is his press coverage issues. Is it coaching or is it just he sucks at it? Because you can't outcoach everything. But that's the one thing. But it's a big thing.
Yep.
It's a big thing. It's like saying there's this great car. It's spectacular, except it has no brakes.
Sounds
kind of
great.
important.
How do I stop?
It's kind of important. That's where he's at there. So
I don't know about that. It's pretty to look at, but I ain't touching it then.
That's right.
We're still talking about the
That's
car.
great. How do I stop?
Also, Xavier's everything that you said is 1,000% on the nose. Because if I'm a GM, I don't want him personally. I'm even if he was like together with Spencer Rattler, I don't want any part of it. But if he was going to be a project, he would be a very, very good project for someone like Seattle or the Rams or even Minnesota.
Seattle is.
See, I still think his
him and
ceiling.
Metcalf.
I think his ceiling is actually going to be is higher than Coleman, and that's the only reason I have him ahead of Coleman. I think I think his floor is also higher than him as well.
Yeah,
I think Coleman is one of those guys because of the route running issues. If he doesn't fix that, he's done. Whereas
I like it.
Legette, you can move him around like they did in college and at least use him in certain scenarios. There's not this, the floor comes out and all of a sudden he falls out of the NFL.
I like it. Seattle might be the best move for him because you get.
Oh my God! Can Seattle stop getting receivers? Like, how many receivers they need?
Well,
Like,
that's the thing though, is all their old guys are being replaced.
Needs to have that.
you
work
say that
done.
they're old guys. Listen, they're not even that old.
They're
DJ
not
Metcalf
old.
is
They're
what-
not old.
He
They're
feels
not-
like he's been in the league forever.
but he's
DK
been
Metcalf
dominant
is
since
what,
he came
27?
in. 4 years, 5 years.
He's 26 years old. He's not even
Yeah.
27. He's 26 years old. By the way, I
Younger.
got to say too, when I went
He's
to the Pro
younger.
Bowl, this year,
Mhm.
for those of you guys who haven't seen DK Metcalf in person,
He's a
you know, you
fucking
always hear-
beefcake.
you always hear about how big he is. Oh my
Big.
God. Like, he looked like a linebacker hanging out with the wide receivers. That's how big he looked. Like, it was
Yeah.
insanity. Again, 6'4", 235. So you talk about a guy now who 6'1", 221. It's a decent size to him too. So I'm saying, I think Legette's got a
saying,
place
if
in this
he-
league, and he's
If he goes
a matter
to a
of
team like Seattle,
how good.
he could be the Y3 and not have to worry about being the Y1.
Maybe Y4.
I was
Maybe
gonna say
Y4.
they
He's
would
still got
probably-
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
They would keep him in there for a year, and then they would get rid of Lockett's contract, and then they would be
Oh,
like,
yeah,
free
that's
all
Yeah,
exactly
they
what I was gonna get
restructured-
at.
They
would-
restructured him this year.
Yeah,
That's
So
exactly
they-
what I was going to
Yeah.
get. It's like they would pick him up, get a cheap deal, let him
Yep.
develop,
Yep.
and then get money or draft picks for Lockett or McCaffrey.
and whatever
whoever.
quarterback you put there in Seattle, it's like you got DK, you got Jackson, and now you got Xavier. You got
Yeah,
2
forget about
running
Lockett.
backs in the back,
hmm
and
Yeah.
we got Lockett. He'll come off the bench for you.
Yeah.
And they've always had a decent.
and
mix
Gino's
of
probably
tight
going
ends
to
there,
start too. Like, no matter what they do, Gino's probably going to start this year.
Yeah, Gino definitely started this year. In my mind, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that he doesn't start. So
Unless
All right.
they get up there in the draft, like
Yeah.
unless
yeah.
they can get someone.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it happening.
If it's one of the top 3,
Drew,
like if for
what is
some odd
one
reason,
of my key sayings? Never
You have a lot of
counts.
them. Granted,
Yeah.
you like saying granted a lot.
Never count Sneaky Pete. He is
Sneaky
now.
Pete's not there anymore.
Doesn't he still consult?
He's there, but he's not.
No.
He's there, but he's not there. Keep in mind, this was a Tom Coughlin situation. They kind of forced him out.
Yeah.
So you're giving him an
Yeah,
honorary
yeah.
title, but how much is he actually going to be involved when you just kicked him out of the spot he wanted to be? He wanted to coach that team still.
Pete, hi, Pete. The fan base isn't going to like if we say you're fired, so we're going to literally pay you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically what happened.
And draft for us.
I mean, the guy interviewed for the Charger spot and won
Yeah,
badly.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, this guy is not very happy with his franchise. I'm not sure how much he's actually helping at all behind the scenes anymore.
No, but also if you got into that situation and you want another job somewhere else, are you going to tank the team you're at to make yourself look terrible? Or
He don't care. He's going to say, I wasn't there. Here's my resume. Look what I did for 15 years there.
That's like
yeah,
that's like
and
Bill
then,
right
you
now.
know what? A lot of teams might look at it and be like, okay, you did a lot of things for that team. One Super Bowl. What else did you do?
Well, I
You
almost won another one.
threw the ball on 3rd down, jackass.
One of you had a really good, strong, short yardage running back.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.